6 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for the news bulletin. We start our news with the headlines. President Sisi and Francis Macron are resolved to continue joint coordination amid Middle East turbulences. Prime Minister Madbouli participates in TICAD conference on behalf of President Sisi. And Egypt welcomes international efforts to create peace in Ukraine and urges more efforts over Middle East crises. Welcome back. The news in detail. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron on Wednesday have asserted to resolve the continued joint Egyptian-French coordination towards accelerating developments in the Middle East, as they share an accord in viewpoints over most of the issues of mutual concern. Over a phone call between the two presidents, the president reiterated Egypt's rejection of any relocation of the Palestinians from their lands or breaching to the Palestinian legitimate rights, on top of which the establishment of an independent Palestinian state along June 14th, 1967 borders. The president reviewed efforts to reach a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, release hostages and prisoners, and facilitate aid flow into Gaza amid an aggravation of its humanitarian situation. For his part, Macron praised Egypt's efforts aiming to put an end to the war. The call also probed updates in the distinguished Egyptian-French relations, and both presidents have asserted the importance of joint work to consolidate cooperation and achieve strategic partnership in economic aspects, trade and investment. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said on Wednesday that Egypt is looking forward to intensifying cooperation with Japan over development and peace in Africa. Madbouli was addressing a session on peace and stability at the Tokyo International Conference on African Development that kicked off in Yokohama, Japan. Details follow.
Minister Mustafa Madbouli said on Wednesday that Egypt is looking forward to intensifying cooperation with Japan over development and peace in Africa. Madbouli was addressing a session on peace and stability at the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD, in Yokohama, Japan. The Prime Minister expressed Egypt's intention to host the 5th edition of Aswan Forum in October to discuss most prominent African issues within the framework of a coherence among peace, security and development, as well as intensifying cooperation frameworks with the Japanese side. He conveyed President Sisi's greetings to Japan's government and people, expressing Egypt's appreciation to Japan's sincere partnership with Africa and its efforts to bolster the continent in the peace, security and development fields. He referred to growing challenges such as military conflicts and terrorism, as well as the climate change, in addition to an increase in the rate of poverty, plus a decrease in food and water security, which necessitate a big support to national efforts, especially from African continent's partners like Japan. Premier Madbouli said President Sisi has led the African Reconstruction and Development file in the aftermath of disputes, reiterating that Egypt is enhancing African states through the Egyptian Agency Partnership for Development. He said Africa had exerted relentless efforts to achieve peace in Sudan, Eastern Congo, the Horn of Africa, and Somalia. On Palestine, he said time has come not only to denounce the Israeli aggression and policies against innocent Palestinians, but also to take decisive and quick procedures to stop Israel through recognizing the Palestinian state and protect its people and their capabilities. The Prime Minister's participation at TICAD 9 is on behalf of President Sisi Sea. The three-day conference is expected to touch on possible future free trade deals between Japan and African nations, loan guarantees and investment incentives for Japanese firms. TICAD was launched in 1993 by the government of Japan and co-hosted with the United Nations, World Bank and African Union to promote Africa's development, peace and security.
On the sidelines of the TICAD conference, Premier Madbouli met with the Democratic Republic of Congo's Prime Minister on mutual cooperation. The Prime Minister expressed Egypt's support to different aspects of development in Nile Basin countries and its contribution in building certain dams in Congo, citing similar projects Egypt had carried out in other Nile Basin countries. For her part, the Congolese Prime Minister expressed appreciation to Egypt's position in support of her country's unity and sovereignty. The Prime Minister held a meeting with Tokyo's Governor Yoriki Yukoya and said Egypt looks forward to tapping on Japanese expertise in education and to increase the number of Japanese schools established in Egypt. Prime Minister Madbouli also hailed existing level of cooperation in higher education between Egypt and Japan within the framework of the Egyptian-Japanese University on Technology. Also on the sidelines of his participation in TICAD 9, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli witnessed the signing of a memorandum of understanding in the fields of green hydrogen between the General Authority of the Suez Canal Economic Zone and the Office of Economic and Labour, which is affiliated to Tokyo's urban government. Madbouli reiterated that cooperation with Japan as a developmental partner is vital to Egypt in light of the priority that Egypt attaches to new energy and renewable energy sector. Key mediators, Egypt and Qatar, said they are committed to exerting all efforts in order to reach positive outcomes towards a ceasefire in Gaza Strip. Both countries received Palestinian movement Hamas' response to a new truce proposal. Majid al-Ansari, a spokesperson for Qatar's foreign ministry, told journalists that Hamas showed a positive response, adding they have yet to hear from Israel on it. Hundreds of aid trucks began entering the Gaza Strip through the Rafah land port as part of the 19th Egyptian Red Crescent convoy. Since late July, the trucks are bound to cross into the Palestinian side through the Karam Busalim point in the southern tip of the border line between Egypt and Gaza. The trucks carry 2,300 tons of essential food, including baby formula, wheat and rice, besides 100 tons of medical and relief supplies and personal care products. At least 11 Palestinians were killed and others wounded, including children and women, since Wednesday dawn in Israeli air attacks across the Gaza Strip as part of Israeli genocide war. The Palestinian news agency WAFA said 5 people from one family, including 3 children, were killed in a strike that hit a tent for displaced people in the Shiite refugee camp west of northern Gaza City. 2 more people were killed in a strike at a house in the same city. And thus, Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman al-Safadi said Wednesday that Israeli war on Gaza had caused massacres and starvation, and that its wider actions were killing all protests Middle East. Addressing Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov at a meeting in Moscow, Safadi said he hoped to discuss efforts to end the aggression on Gaza in addition to the illegal measures that continue to undermine the two-state solution in the region. He also told Lavrov that Amman values Russia's clear position against the war and the demand for reaching a permanent ceasefire. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Migration and Expatriate Affairs Badr Abdelati confirmed on Wednesday that Egypt is keen to preserve Lebanon's security and stability. The Minister Abdelati made his confirmation during a phone call with Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam. The top diplomat renewed Egypt's constant positions to support Lebanon and stressed the significance of stopping any trials of foreign interference in country's internal affairs. The minister called on ending Israeli aggression on Lebanon and its withdrawal from the 5 points it is occupying in accordance with the international legitimacy. Egypt on Wednesday welcomed international efforts to create peace in Ukraine, expressing hope that these efforts will lead to putting an end to the war in the nearest future. The Foreign Ministry said in a statement that Cairo hails U.S. President Donald Trump's efforts to put an end to military operations in Ukraine. The statement added that these moves are consistent with the Egyptian state calls for pushing forward political solutions to international crises, adding that Egypt looks forward for more international efforts in the Middle East to settle the Palestinian question. The Foreign Ministry said that the Israeli side should accept Gaza ceasefire proposal approved by Hamas that was put forward by U.S. envoy in order to put an end to military operations, release hostages and ensure aid flows into Gaza. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Wednesday that Moscow is ready to discuss the political aspects of settlements with Ukraine. He added that Russia is ready to conduct talks in any format and to raise the level of delegations in negotiations. However, he repeated Moscow's insistence that any meeting of the Russian and Ukraine leaders should be the culmination of such negotiations and would need to be carefully prepared. More than 20 people have died in a fresh spell of monsoon rain in Pakistan. 10 more people had died in Karachi, the financial capital in the south, due to urban flooding that caused house collapses. 11 other people died in the northern region of Gilit Balochistan. In total, the authority added that close to 750 Pakistanis have died since the rain season have started. Now with the economy news, as the Chief Executive of General Authority for Investment and Free Zones, Dalia Al-Hawari, said today that the number of tenders offered by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, in Egypt have reached $1 billion annually. Al-Hawari have noted that such tenders have focused on a number of pivotal sectors in which the national companies enjoy a past experience and also a highly competitive performance, including the agriculture, food industry, fishing and fooders. She also said that these remarks in the course of a workshop organized by the authority in cooperation with the UN Food Agency with the aim of encouraging national companies to take part in the international bids, which will help increase the effort's volume. Egypt's bourse have closed lower today amid sell-offs by local Arab and foreign corporations and Arab investors against purchases by local and foreign investors. The market listed companies lost 28 billion Egyptian pounds, crossing 2.4 trillion pounds at the end of an average net transactions of 48.7 billion pounds. The benchmark index EGX 30 dipped 1% above the 35,730 point mark. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and the EGX 100 both fell 1.2%. Well, in the sports news, Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah was named the Professional Footballers Association Player of the Year, with the Egyptian becoming the first player to win the award 3 times. Salah, who have joined Liverpool in 2017, was the Premier League's top scorer last season with his 29 goals, along with 8 goals scored and the Playmaker Award for most assists. Alexander Isak said he believes his departure from Newcastle was in the best interests of everyone after breaking his silence on the saga of the Premier League transfer window amid speculation over move to Liverpool. Well, with this, we come to the end of the news bulletin. My name is Aman Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.